Hey Capricorn, how are you? Welcome to the Untitled Tarot. My name is Lauren B. As always, these readings are timeless. So when you get here is whenever you get here, there will be an extended to your reading, Capricorn. The link for that's going to be in the description box below. If you see anything flying around, if it's not smoke, maybe it's an orb. I want to pray and then I want to get into your downloads, Capricorn. Father God, thank you for bringing me and my Capricorns in today. I ask that you give me wisdom, clarity, and discernment to deliver these messages accurately for Capricorn's highest of love, light, alignment, and assignment. We praise you, we love you, we thank you always. We give you all the glory and the honor for these messages to the utmost high. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen. Amen, Capricorn. So, when I sat down in your energy, Cap, I heard that song by Pink Floyd, I have become comfortably numb. You're comfortably numb, Capricorn. It's this energy of like, nothing's really like exciting you a lot right now, but also nothing's really making you like overly angry. It's almost like you're too tired to fight. It's like really blasé. It's just like comfortably numb. It's like you're not really hitting any peaks, but you're also not crying in the valleys. It's almost, it's very like disconnected, disassociated. I'm also hearing that song by Mary J. Blige, Real Love. I'm searching for a real love. It's almost the idea that you've also given up like the search. Like for a while, maybe you were on like a search and rescue mission. And somewhere along the way, you got just like so weary and disheartened that it's almost like you've become numb to disappointment, but also numb to things that are exciting as well. And now it's just kind of like you're coasting. Now you're just kind of coasting a little bit. I'm going to use the Light Seers Tarot for you. The Fool card did come out a lot in your pre-shuffle. So there is this fine line between faith and feeling foolish. Faith and feeling foolish. Yeah, I want to take this card too. Okay, so you have the Queen of Swords out first. High up. It's it's the idea that you've hit a certain peak, but emotionally, you're a little bit turned off. It's like you have this higher perspective. See how high up she is? That it's like you can see how things are going to play out. It's like, you know, everything's just going to like work out for you in the end, right? The Queen of Swords is extraordinarily logical. Like she in no way allows her emotions to supersede her judgment. She doesn't let her emotions make decisions for her or him, right? It's just an energy, right? And she has this sword of truth right here. It's like, well, the truth is that God said something to me and it'll come to pass, and it doesn't matter. But it's the idea of perhaps you had like a breakdown. Feels a little bit like maybe you had a bit of a breakdown where your emotions were really clouding your judgment. So the only way for you to, I mean, Pisces season will do that to us. The only way you could really get your head back on straight was to completely like turn your emotions off. That's where this numb feeling is coming. And you know, it's interesting to me. I'm feeling like, imagine how cold it is up here, right? It's like she's got like these sandals and these ripped jeans on, but she's also in like a coat, like a fall or a winter coat. And at a high altitude like that, it must be pretty cold, but she doesn't even look affected. It's windy. You could see her hair blowing. It's also the idea that you're not easily shakeable right now. And I think the reason that you're not easily shakeable right now is that you're emotionally disconnected. You're feeling a little bit numb. That even if something's coming in like the cold or the wind, it's almost like you don't even care. You don't even care. It's just like another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. It's like, well, here's another windy day. Like, here's another cold situation. Like, here's another obstacle. Like, I've been through so many, they don't even affect me anymore. They don't even affect me anymore. You have the King of Pentacles in reverse out next. This is a really kind of, it's a real stubborn energy. It's a little bit stuck in the mud. This could indicate you kind of stubbornly holding on to your position, but it feels as though these are external energies to you, things that just won't move, things that just won't budge. And it feels like you're kind of saying to yourself, well, if some of these situations just won't budge, well, then maybe they're just not for me. Or maybe it's just not the time for that mountain to move right now. Or, you know, maybe I'm supposed to be in this situation for some kind of reason that, you know, emotionally I can't figure out, but logically, like, God knows better than I do. And this could actually have to do with like certain people in your environment as well. People that are just stubborn. They won't grow with you, they won't evolve with you, they're, you know, maybe they let you down a lot. People that let you down a lot, and perhaps you had emotionally gotten yourself really worked up, but now you've just like completely gone numb to the situation, and it's like, well, if that's where you want to stay, that's where you want to stay. I don't know what to tell you about it, because you have the Three of Pentacles in reverse as well, kind of connected to it, especially because these the browns and the reds and the yellows, like they kind of all blend together. Three of Pentacles is a card of collaboration. It's a card of work as well. It's something about these people, they won't work the program. They won't work the program. And so instead of trying to push through them, you've almost just climbed the ladder upwards. And even though it's cold and it's uncomfortable, it's still less painful than what you had to deal with down here on the ground floor. Down here on the ground floor, it's like, it's kind of lonely at the top, but it's not as lonely as it is trying to work with people that can't hear you, that don't see you, that don't want to collaborate with you. Nine of Wands, boundaries. This is you setting boundaries with yourself, with other people. This is also a very determined energy. This is more determined than, this is very external, but this is coming out of you, Capricorn. It's also a little bit of a wounded warrior energy, the Nine of Wands, which is kind of what I was saying. It's almost like after you take a certain amount of hits, like the blows don't hurt so much anymore. It's not that they still like aren't disappointing, but it's just kind of like you're used to it. Like you build up a resistance. You build up a resistance to the resistance. If that makes any sense, it's almost like autopilot. Like you're a little bit just on autopilot. You're like, well, this is where I'll stand. I'll stand behind this wall. I'll stand behind this fence. I'll maintain this boundary. I'll just hold on to this light. And that's it. That's all I can do until I get like new marching orders, There's also this hesitation to step out of position, because I feel like there are some things that you're really counting on. There's some things you're really counting on right now, and you don't want to allow your emotions or moving before it's time or moving too soon or being impulsive. You don't want to let any of that kind of stuff kind of cheat you out of your breakthrough, because you've already gone through quite a bit of a breakdown. Three of Wands. What did I say? Kind of turning your back on everything, looking at the horizon, just you and your surfboard. Three of Wands also talks about making preparations to kind of get on the mission. The Two of Wands is when you kind of choose a path. You've already chosen your path, and it's the idea of I've come so far that I can't really go back now. So just kind of waiting for the right wave to come in for you to ride, right? It's like you normally, like, you would wait for a ship to come in. Normally people are waiting for ships to come in so they can get on the ship and the ship will take them somewhere else. But this is you waiting for a wave to come in so that way you can ride it to the next place. It's a much more of an active energy. It's not like, oh, the ship will come in, I'll get it, and the ship will take me the rest of the way. It's like, no, I just need the wave to come in and then I will get out there and I'll paddle my way to the next destination. Page of Wands in reverse, though. That's a lack of energy for sure. It's also a lack of feeling kind of creative. It is really stuck. Like they're showing me the Hangman card in my head. It's an energy of feeling really stuck, not feeling a lot of inspiration. Again, it's almost like when the wave comes in, I'll have the momentum that I need in order to move forward. But until that comes, like I'm kind of stuck where I am. It's almost just like maintaining. I just have to maintain what I'm doing right now. And there is something about it that maybe is, I don't want to say boring. I don't necessarily know if you're bored. You might be feeling a little bit bored, a little bit stagnant, because you might have been in the same place for a long time, and that might have been something that had triggered up some of that emotional bubbling over, that it feels like you almost like overstimulated yourself, like you blew out all of your fuses. It's kind of, Capricorns are very known for burnout, but then normally you take a day and a half, 2 days, and then you recharge and then you're back at it full throttle. But it seems like whatever happened to you this time, it blew out all of your fuses. So it's almost like while you're waiting for this wave to come in, so that way you can paddle to your next destination, it almost feels like spiritually you're like being rewired. You're being rewired, like you're being rebooted, because it wasn't just like you burned yourself out. It's like every circuit in your body, emotionally, physically, spiritually, it like blew out. And so now it's like rewiring. It's like spiritual, like a spiritual electrician like needs to be coming in and like doing all of this for you. Six of Wands in reverse. Yeah. You haven't been able to successfully regain, almost it feels like your footing. It feels like your footing, a little bit of your balance as well. I think normally you pop back up a lot quicker. You burn out, you get upset, you get up, you brush your shoulders off like Jay-Z and you keep it moving. But it feels like there's something about it this time that you haven't been able to recover as quickly as normally you would have. And there's something about that I think maybe might hit you a little bit in the pride sector, because, you know, it feels as though you're someone that is kind of prides yourself on the ability to pick yourself up and like keep on moving. But this time you haven't really been able to do that. And it's not necessary. I don't know if it's for lack of trying or not. It just almost feels like you haven't been able to. It's almost like a forced system shutdown. A forced system shutdown, like from the divine. And you might be interpreting it as like interfering energies. And it could be those low vibrational, that devil energy coming in. But it almost feels as though you were getting so antsy that you were about to do something impulsive. You were about to act out of pocket. You were about to like screw the pooch. And so it almost feels like the divine allowed some kind of system shutdown, allowed you to short circuit because you needed more than just like 2 days to recover. And so there is something, pride ego aspect that you might be feeling a little disappointed, or honestly, it feels like a little bit of like humbled that you haven't been able to recover as quickly, and you've been forced to kind of really rely on divine timing and just hold your position, which is part of this emotional disconnect. If you allow your emotions to kind of come back online before the system is fully like rebooted and updated, you run the risk of potentially boiling over again and then finding yourself in the same position. And it was such a knockdown that you can't do that again, which is why it's like, again, your emotions are sort of on the back burner, comfortably numb. 10 of Swords, right? Swords is air energy. It's all mental. It's mental thoughts, right? And it's like all of these crows, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. It's like each one of these crows, it feels like a thought, like some kind of anxiety, some kind of fear, some kind of anger, some kind of narrative you've invented, and almost just like letting them all fly out. Sometimes weird thoughts and emotions, they come and they filter in our head, and we can kind of attach ourselves to them and then kind of get ahead of ourselves. But this also feels like even mentally, like ideas and thoughts and triggers are coming in, and you're just like, it's almost like they come in, they hit you to a certain point, and you're like, I don't have the energy for that. And then you just let it kind of float out to the other side of your psyche, if that makes any sense. And again, there is this like waiting on the shoreline, waiting on the horizon with your back turned to everything, just waiting for the wave. It really does feel like you're on autopilot. There's not even that much like clairaudience coming in for me, other than the couple of songs that they gave me, which is unusual for me because clairaudience is one of my strongest abilities. You guys know I have all the songs pop in. I have like different conversations, sentences, all of that stuff comes in for me. And you have the Lovers in reverse at the bottom of the deck. And I was saying that Mary J. Blige song, right? Real love. I'm searching for a real love, and it's almost the idea of like, I'm not searching for anything anymore. Like, I'm just waiting for like the right thing to come to me right now, because Lovers is a card of Gemini. Again, more of that air, Swords kind of double-minded energy. It's like, you're not even double-minded. It's like, you've just given up the search. And you're most certainly not trying to go back and rescue any of these external energies. It's the idea of like, they have to save themselves. A lot of this is you also making peace with the fact that some people just aren't going to pick you. Some people just aren't going to try. Some people just aren't going to show up. And really learning to disassociate yourself with the fact that that actually doesn't have a bearing on your value as a person. Whether or not other people want to show up for you, it can't control whether or not you show up for yourself. And I'm throwing this Lovers in reverse right on top of the Three of Wands and the Page of Wands in reverse. So again, you don't, and I said in the beginning of one of your downloads as well, is like, there's not a lot of fight left in you right now. It feels like you really did lose like a little bit of your fighting spirit, which in some aspect like could benefit you just in terms of surrender and going with the flow and all that kind of stuff. But there is like a mild level of hopelessness, to be frank with you, that is kind of circling around your energy. It's like almost like, again, there's that fine balance between with the Fool card, faith and feeling foolish. That it's like logically you're like, well, God knows better than I do. Everything works out in the end. He's got a plan. It'll all be fine. But like in here, there is something about, and maybe just you haven't come back online yet. You haven't totally come back online yet. But there is a little bit of a feeling of despair. There is a little bit of a feeling of despair because, yeah, you have, because you have the 10 of Pentacles, the Moon, and the 9 of Cups with the 6 of Pentacles right after it. You see, it's like, this is what you want. It's like to be established emotionally and in the natural, right? But you don't know when it's coming. And it's like, instead of feeling like you're drowning underneath it, it's almost like you forced yourself to become a mermaid so you can breathe underwater. It's learning how to survive. It doesn't necessarily honestly feel like you're thriving right now. I'm going to be super honest with you about it, but learning how to kind of get by on autopilot in uncomfortable situations and not feel as though you're drowning in them. But this is, like I said, this is what you really want. It's the establishment, it's the family, it's the community. It's like having everything kind of tied up in a bow for you, but you don't really know when it's coming with this Moon card. But it is a wish fulfillment for you to have some kind of reciprocity, to have all of the wheels turning at the same time, right? Kind of meeting this like infinite amount of abundance. It's like a flow state. It really is like a flow state. But with the 4 of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, right? You really are having a hard time finding the kind of flow and abundance, and it feels like favor. It feels like favor too when it comes to setting up these foundations, because the 4 of Wands is a card of foundation as well as a union energy. It is the energy of, well, maybe I'll just have to go it on my own for a while and that'll be fine because I've already been doing that and I know how to do that. I know how to be in uncomfortable situations. I know how to do things by myself. So, okay. Again, it's not even like fighting it. It's like, okay, there is a positive aspect to this, that there is a beautiful amount of just like surrender, just whatever you have for me, Lord, like that's what you have for me. Okay. But there is a lack of energy, but I really do feel as though it's because you're still being rebooted a little bit. That's part of the reason why you're waiting for this wave. This wave is going to come in when the system updates, is how I'm going to explain it, is when the system updates like finish installing, right? Because even if that wave came right this second, you'd be like a little bit too tired to paddle out there anyway. So this really is a matter of divine timing. So just like try and stay encouraged, because that seems to be what's happening. Is intentionally you were allowed to kind of short circuit, so that way all new wires could be installed in you. Which I think is going to bring, I think you already are having a lot of new perspectives that I really think are going to benefit you. It's just the energy and the level of like joy and excitement and like looking forward with like hope and enthusiasm. It's like an enthusiasm deficit that you're having, right? With this comfortably numb thing. But I also think that there's something about, the divine allowing you to sit in a place that maybe you do feel a little numb, but you're also much more comfortable and at peace than you were before. And that is an energy that they want you to kind of get familiar with. So when your energy does come back, your enthusiasm does come back, and you find yourself in different places with different faces and different situations, you'll recognize the feeling of comfort and peace, right? And you'll be able to kind of compare and contrast that with the emotional experience that you're having, and then being able to use your discernment, right? That kind of spiritual, emotional mathematics, and figure out cost benefit analysis if certain situations, if certain people really are cohesive and complementary to you and your energy and what you're doing. Your energy is going to come back. Your enthusiasm is going to come back. You're not sure when that is, but it is going to happen. But there's something about, you know, it's almost like when someone gets sick, right? And then they're in the hospital and they just want to make them comfortable and let them know that everything's okay, and they'll be discharged at some point and not to worry about it. It's a little bit like that. Like they're just trying to make you comfortable and peaceful. 7 of Pentacles. Yeah. And what you're doing is you're learning to invest in yourself in a different way, that it's not so based off of your ability to be productive or your ability to succeed or keep up with the rest of the rat race. Because as a Capricorn, if you don't feel as though you're at the head of the pack, you may as well not even be in the game at all. And while there is a level of that ambition that is extremely admirable, it can be really unhealthy to the spirit and the mind and the soul. And so what you're learning is it's more organic because it's a plant. They're not really pentacles, they're seeds. It's a much more organic way to kind of also very slowly being able with the hands, right, with the energy, slowly being able to feel again. It feels like little bits of joy or little bits of happiness or even little bits of disappointment or feeling uncomfortable. It's like coming in tiny little droplets so that way you can learn to process them from the newer perspective that you are. You're not going back. When you come back online, you're not going back to the way you were operating before. It's an entirely new operating system. It's like going from a PC to a Mac. So it's like you have to learn how to use the command button now. So they're just giving you like a file of emotion at a time so you can process it, learn how to use it, feel more comfortable in it while maintaining that sense of peace and balance. And then pretty soon there will be a greater influx coming in for you after that. 10 of Wands. And in this card, this is all about packing up, right? As you're slowly doing that, you're able to push out old files, but this is also you getting ready to depart, right? Depart. In a much more independent way as well. Because it's like with this buffalo right here, buffaloes normally travel in like a herd, right? That pack mentality, that keeping up with the rat race, the Joneses sort of thing. But here it's just one buffalo and like your stuff, just the stuff that you need. So this is also you learning how to value yourself and the work that you do independent of the collective. If that makes any sense to you. You do have the 7 of Swords and you have the 6 of Swords as well. So there could be something that you do actually know that you are about to make a transition. You're just not exactly sure like when the time is going to come necessarily. There could be people around you that might feel as though you are withholding information, or maybe you're being a little sneaky or shady. It doesn't feel like you're doing that at all. You're just in like a really kind of private healing time right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. If there are comfortable people, healthy dynamics that you have around you, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for you to communicate a little bit of the process that you're going through, because the 7 of Swords, it doesn't feel like people think that you're sneaking around on them, and it doesn't feel like anyone's necessarily sneaking around you, right, while you're making this transition. It feels like people are just worried about you. It just feels like there might be some people that are a little bit worried about you because they're not used to you not being you, if that makes any sense. So, and there's a lot of heavy energies going around. Some of these people might think that you're leaving them or abandoning them, or that they did something wrong and that's why you're not communicating to them, right? So there could be an energy of, obviously 9 of Wands, you're going to maintain your boundaries. You're in a healing period right now, and that's beautiful and that's appropriate. But if these are like healthy dynamics around you, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you were just like, hey, I'm just going through some stuff, I'm gonna be fine, it's all working out, it's nothing to do with you, but I'm just taking some time for myself right now. Because it feels like they might be a little bit worried about you, and they might be, with all this Swords energy going around their own head, wonder if they did something to offend you that made you not want to communicate with them so much, if that makes any sense. So Capricorn, I'm going to go over on the Patreon, and I'm going to keep pulling cards for you to see what else we can get out of this message. It feels like there's more advice coming up for you that I would really like to dive into. So if you're interested in that, the link for the Patreon with all the extended readings, the monthly readings for March, right down there in the description box, all the decks I use, my email for personal readings, social media links, all that fun stuff. And until I see you next time, I love you. You stay prayed up, and you stay blessed, and you stay sweet, and you stay encouraged. You never know when your breakthrough's coming. And I will see you next time, Cappy. Goodbye.